Hello there. It's Roberta, your lawyer, life, and leadership coach. And we are about a week out from the February bar exam. So I just wanted to hop on and do a quick video to give you 5 tips in 5 minutes that you can use the day of the bar exam to help you maximize points. And so, since it's so close to the exam, I'm not trying to come and give you a whole bunch of extra stuff to do. So these tips are things that you can do specifically the day of the exam. And I'm going to put the link to a blog post that I wrote about this down below. So make sure that you read the blog post because it goes into more detail about the 5 tips that I'm going to give you. And so these are the tips, not necessarily in any particular order. Number one, make sure that you take a few minutes to look through all of the essays and do the essays you feel good about first instead of automatically doing the essays in the order that they appear. And so I actually didn't give this disclaimer before I started, but if something seems too risque for you, then you don't have to take my recommendation. But these are just some things that helped me out when I took and passed 2 bar exams. So the reason why I bring this up about not necessarily doing the essays in the order that they appear is because if you end up starting off on an essay that you feel uncertain about, and then you end up spending all this time trying to figure out what to write down, and then by the time you get to the essays toward the end, you don't have as much time to write down answers for those because you spent so much time on the front end freaking out and trying to work on essays you weren't really that confident in. Meanwhile, you could have picked up more points if you had started with the essay topics that you were more comfortable with at the get-go. And that way, off the jump, you're starting off feeling more confident and knowing that you were able to grab these points as opposed to, man, I could have actually done a good job with the last essay if I had enough time to do it. So I have to I have to keep these short. I told you 5 tips in 5 minutes, and I'm almost gonna be out of time soon. So like I said, make sure you click the link below so you can read for more information. I go more into depth in the tips. So moving right along, this is gonna be a little bit longer than 5 minutes. I'm sorry. I'm trying to keep it short. Okay, so tip number 2 is to spend a little more time on the essays you do know the answers to, rather than spending all of the time you plan to allot for each question, spinning your wheels on an answer you do not know. And so this could be seen as really risky for some people. Again, if you don't think that that'll work for you, then don't do it. You don't have to do it. I'm just sharing some things that maybe you hadn't thought of, or, the day of, you might be like, what do I do? After you do your quick review of which essay questions you feel most comfortable answering, if you find that there are some essay questions like you just don't know, you're just like, And let me tell you, that actually happened to me, and I still passed. And there were, for the UBE examination, there were 2 topics that I hadn't studied as much, and I purposely hadn't studied them as much. But anyway, the point is, I didn't know those topics as much. So I was like, you know what? There's 6 essay questions, and theoretically, you're supposed to spend 30 minutes per essay question, but I don't really know a lot about these other 2 subjects right here. Why spend a whole 30 minutes just spinning my wheels when I can take 20 minutes for each of those and write down the basic, rule of law, get something out, And then I can spend the rest of the time writing more for the questions that I actually do have more knowledge on, and I can actually like flex a little bit. That was me trying to flex. Trying to keep this video short. So that's the logic behind that. Again, make sure that you go to the link down below on my website so that you can read more about this, because I'm trying to keep this short for you. So, tip number 3, don't spend too long panicking if you don't know all of the relevant law for an essay question. Collect yourself, write something basic, and get some points. And so if you didn't already know this, for a lot of the bar examinations, and including the UBE, the Uniform Bar Examination, you don't have to know the exact law to get points. I mean, obviously, you'd probably get more points. I won't say obviously, because I'm not a bar exam grader, so I don't really know. But most likely you'll get more points if you know the right law. Of course, so if you know the right law, you should put down the right law. It is ideal to know the right law. That is what you should do. But, if it's the day of the exam and you're in the exam room and you're like, I don't quite remember, I just don't quite know what the right rule of law is, make something up that sounds reasonable, write it down, and then make sure that you apply as many facts as possible as you can in your answer, and do the analysis using the facts that are given in the problem to the rule of law that you have written. Because at the end of the day, the bar exam graders need to see that you know how to lawyer, as in you know how to write a cogent legal argument. So even if the law is like a little like funky, so no, you won't get points for, having the right rule statement, but you would get points for writing, for demonstrating your writing ability, and, recognizing where there are issues with different legal facts and things like that. And so this isn't just coming from me. In the post, I cite to someone who actually does work in the realm of bar exam grading, and they say a lot of what I just said just now. So don't take it from me. Don't take my word for it. Do your own research about it. But it's definitely better to write something down and just go with it as if it were the law than to panic and not write anything at all. That's the moral of the story. Of course, know the law is the ideal. If you don't, that's what you should do if you don't. Okay, moving right along. I guess it's more like 5 tips in 15 minutes or less. Okay, we're almost done. Point number 4 is to not get caught up over analyzing questions on the MBE. Remember patterns from studying and skip a question if you don't know it and move on. And, you probably already know that, just move on if you don't know the answer. That's pretty straightforward, because you don't get points subtracted for wrong answers. So just pick something, do something. But the other thing I'll say is to remember patterns, remember studying patterns, because there could be some questions where you just don't really know the rationale. You don't really know the rationale, but you remember doing a problem similar to it while you were studying. And even though then you didn't really know why that was the right answer, that was the right answer. You know what? If you see something similar like that on the bar exam and you don't know what the answer is, otherwise, you might as well just go on ahead and put that as the answer, because then at least that answer is rooted in some type of pattern and something that you've seen before, as opposed to just a totally random guess. But of course, even if you don't have that at all, fine. Just do the totally random guess. It's better than leaving the answer blank. And the number 5 tip that I have for you, and this is for all of my people of faith out there. Honestly, even if you're not of faith, you got to preach to yourself. Like, there are going to be times, you're sitting there for hours on end, taking this huge exam, and you're going to be like, man, ugh, whew, what am I doing? How do I do this? What do I put down? You need to preach to yourself and remind yourself of who you are. You are beloved. You are intelligent. You are smart, right? From the movie, you is kind. But like, legitimately, all the good things about yourself. You need to remember that you were able to get through law school. You can get through this. Don't freak out about it. All of my praying people, pray. Pray to God. Ask Him to give you peace, to help you focus, to block out distractions, to allow Holy Spirit wisdom to flow through you so you can supernaturally answer questions. And I don't think that's a form of cheating. I don't. You feel like you have supernatural wisdom from praying. I don't think that's prohibited while taking the bar exam. So, remember that. Don't, check the self-talk at the door. Keep the positive self-talk. Check the negative self-talk, but keep the positive self-talk. Okay, so those are 5 tips for bar exam success the day of the bar exam. Because at this point, it's not necessarily all about what you know, but it is about how you use what you know and how you navigate the time restrictions during the exam so that you can, answer the questions the best of your ability and pick up the most amount of points possible. So I hope that this was helpful for you. And like I've already said before, but I'm going to say it again, make sure that you go to the blog post that is linked below, because that further explains the rationale for these tips that I just sprouted off just now. But anyway, if you have any questions, please feel free to let me know. You can comment on this video here or on my website or whatever, robertaoroberts.com. That's me, Roberta O. Roberts. So yeah, let me know if this was helpful. I hope you found it helpful. And also, I wish everyone the best of success on the bar exam. You got it. Bye. Thanks for watching.